Let's bring our legal expert in on that. Sky Lewis today, the former U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida. Welcome, Guy. Thoughts on what the Chief Justice had to say, and in this case in general?
So, Connell, not a big surprise, at least from my standpoint. Look, this is a titan battle between the president and what he considers a cornerstone of his administration, his ability to deport individuals from the United States and get the immigration process in order, and some of these lower court judges who were put on either by Obama or Biden.
Now, in fairness, Guy, we know there was a mistake made in this case. Now, that was said in a court filing that this guy had not supposed to be sent to El Salvador, where he's from, and he was.
Exactly. And the administration, the government has said, look, we should not have sent him. He was sent. And now the question is what to do. I mean, you can't force the U.S. to force El Salvador to bring him back. And remember, he's not a U.S. citizen. He was just granted temporary legal status. And so it's going to be a Supreme Court decision.
So this judge had said, to your point, that is a good point, that you can't force them, so you have to try, essentially. That's what they said. They said, well, you got to try to facilitate the return. In other words, it's almost like forced diplomacy, right? Does that kind of stuff usually come out of the courts, forced diplomacy?
Look, that's a great point, Connell. The executive branch has great authority. You can't force them to do something that really the law doesn't permit. You just got some judges, some lower court judges that say, look, I know better how to run the immigration system than you do. And the president, of course, is going to oppose that at every level.
All right, I have a question about South Sudan. People who are watching the basketball tournament might be interested in this story, but not just that. It's an interesting story for other reasons as well. But here's what Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, posted online. I'm taking actions to revoke all visas held by South Sudanese passport holders and to restrict any further issuance to prevent entry into the United States effective immediately due to the failure of South Sudan's transitional government to accept the return of its repatriated citizens in a timely manner. The reason I say people watching the basketball tournament might be interested is because there's Duke's 7'2" starting center is from South Sudan. Now, I know Duke lost the other night, they're not playing, but he I'm sure wants to play further in the United States, including in the NBA. So people like that could be affected by this, I guess. Would it apply to student visas, or would it be different if he was an NBA player? Let me pull up Duke's response real quick, and then I'll ask you what you think, Guy. Duke University is aware of the announcement from the Department of State regarding these visa holders. We're looking into the situation, working expeditiously to understand the implications for Duke students. So explain this one to us. What are the issues at hand?
So great question. Listen, no matter where you're from, Sudan or wherever, you've got to be here in the U.S. lawfully. You've got to have some kind of permission, whether it's a student visa, a work visa, some kind of residency visa. And if you don't, then you can't be here.
But if it's revoked, so you wouldn't have it anymore if it's revoked. So, it would be all, it sounds to me, or it sounds to you, like it's all visas, everybody.
That's it. And you've got to work through the government process. It's certainly not fair for those people who spent years and years to get the proper visa and other people who did not. You've got to have some equality, some equity there.
Well, in this case, he would have, right? He had the visa. He's here playing. So it's just that Rubio and the State Department and Trump, they'd be taking it away from him. He already has it. That's
right. And that's because Sudan says, I'm not going to take any of your deportees who have violated U.S. law. And there's a ramification for that, Connell. And of course, I think we're going to win that argument as well.
Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.